right now. Today is the day that you choose to change the rest of your life. It is time to turn your setback into the greatest comeback story ever told, and nobody is more capable than you. This is the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast, the future #1 weight loss podcast in the world. I am your host, Donato Russo. I hope you enjoy the show today. If this is your first time here and you enjoy the show, please subscribe and spread the word of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast wherever you are and to whomever will listen. If you'd like to connect on social media or wherever else, check out my Linktree page, Linktree/the Ranting Weight Watcher. Let's connect today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 206 of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you to the show. If you enjoy it, please consider subscribing. If the app that you're using to listen to the show allows you to write a review or rate the show, please consider writing a review and leaving a 4-star or 5-star rating. Doing this will promote the podcast growth by updating an algorithm, which in turn will make it easier for anyone else looking for a weight loss or related podcast that is using the same app as you. One of the best things you could do to support this podcast is to literally tell anyone you know that is in the same position we are all in, trying to live a healthy life. Tell them about the show. Show them how to find it. I want to give a special thanks to all of the financial supporters of the podcast. Thank you so much for considering the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast a worthy investment of your hard-earned money. If you are interested in becoming a financial supporter of this podcast, there is a Linktree link in the description of every podcast episode. When you click it, you will be taken to a website where you will see a button that says Become a Financial Supporter. Click that button and you will be given the options available so that you can choose from there. Well, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this! Journey updates. I stayed the same this week, so no loss. Total loss since January 2019 is 176.6 pounds. Total pounds remaining to get to the 200-pound milestone is 23.4 pounds. Initially, when I started this podcast, everything was geared toward telling you what I was going through. And as it progressed, it became about a lot of other things too. And it would come back to things I was going through, but as things became streamlined and there wasn't anything new going on, it was just wash, rinse, repeat, I went away from talking about the things that had to do with me and went on to talking about other things. Things that I thought would be helpful in the process. But every single time I came to a transitional point, I returned to what I was going through. As we start a fitness journey, every single one starts with some sort of motivation to do something because they are unhappy for X reason. Now, some people are unhappy with the way they look in a bathing suit. Other people are unhappy because they have so much pain. And then there's other people that are unhappy feeling sick all the time. Whatever the initial start is, it doesn't really matter. Whatever the amount of motivation is, that doesn't really matter either. Because no matter what that case is, we start off with what I call the immaturity mindset. Everyone, regardless of how much motivation, regardless of what their story is, everyone starts a health journey with an immaturity mindset. So many of us, including me, start our journeys completely oblivious to the actual problem. We just see a number on a scale, and we see a number we'd like to be, and we think that if we do X, Y, and Z, that just goes away. There is no consideration taken for the amount of time it took to create the problem. None whatsoever. In particular with me. In 2004, at 460 pounds, I took no consideration to how long it took to create that problem. In 2004, I was 26 years old. So this was 26 years in the making to get me to 460 pounds. And in that moment, I decided, I had tried everything and nothing worked. So gastric bypass was the answer. That was going to be how I succeeded. In 2004, I had the gastric bypass surgery. Many of you know this story already. In almost no time at all, I dropped 183 pounds in just about a year. Maybe just a little bit more, whatever, but just call it a year. 1 year, there was no lessons learned. It was just, I altered my body and created a result. So there was no growing out of an immature mindset. In fact, at the first confrontation, where it was actually time to grow, I had created so much success so quickly that there was an arrogance about the situation that was unearned. But it existed because of the vast amount of success created in that short period of time. Almost like drunk on success. So without those lessons learned, what do you think happened? I mean, you guys know my story in general. I spent the next 15 years of my life undoing everything I had done. Up until my birthday, January 2019, that morning I decided to get on the scale. And that morning, the scale said back 403 pounds. There was no more plausible deniability of whether or not this was my fault. There was no doubt whatsoever. I had essentially undone everything that was created. The scale result, I mean, what are we talking about? We're talking about 57 pounds away from being back to exactly where I was. So on my birthday, seeing that number, there was no hiding anymore. So what did that create? It created a motivation. 1 week later, I'm in a Weight Watcher studio and deciding to change my life. I want to lose 200 pounds and then reevaluate. That's my goal on January 12th, 2019. I know I have told you guys this many times, so just bear with me a minute. On that day, in spite of having been 460 pounds, having dropped 183 in a year, having regained it all in 15, or almost all of it, in spite of all that, on January 12th, 2019, I started with an immature mindset. There was no reason to say I didn't. Just because I was motivated, just because I realized it was all my fault, that doesn't make me mature yet. Because I didn't actually go through any fire yet. I didn't make the hard journey through the rough trail that would harden and create the calluses necessary for me to become the man I wanted to become. In spite of all that had happened, I was starting with an immature mindset. Now, the immature mindset is irrational, emotional, and unruly. Spoiled. Just wants what it wants and doesn't matter. Nothing matters except getting the result. Everyone starts with this attitude. It doesn't matter how motivated you are. It doesn't matter what you've gone through to get there. Everyone starts with this mindset. No one is taking into account how many years in the making this is. When I walked in that day, we're talking about 40 plus years in the making. I did not take into consideration for 1 second that I created this problem over 40 years of time. Essentially, the entirety of my life was spent meticulously creating this problem. Because the immaturity mindset doesn't care about details. You know, it's like in the movie Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The girl, I think her name was Faruka. She wanted the golden goose, or the goose that laid the golden egg. And she sings the song, "I don't care how, I want it now." That's the immaturity mindset in a nutshell. I don't care how, I want it now. It's that same mindset that gets someone to choose gastric bypass surgery, literally the mutilation of their bodies, choosing drugs that we have no idea what they're going to do in the long term to our bodies. We choose to do anything that would end this problem as quickly as possible. No one takes into consideration, including me, you need to go through the fire in order to come out on the other side, have the result you want, and have the knowledge to keep it. None of that is considered on day one. So the amount of time you spend or I spend in the immaturity phase, the immaturity mindset, there's no telling. I can't tell you how to get out of it. I could tell you how I got out of it, but that doesn't mean that's going to work for you. Does it mean you shouldn't try it? No, absolutely not. You should try it. But it doesn't mean that you're ever going to come out of it, because it's still a mental thing in the end. You have to get from, I don't care how, I want it now, to this is the work and I'm going to do it no matter what. Just the same way I wake up in the morning and one of the first things I do after making the bed is brush my teeth. I don't need to feel motivated to brush my teeth. I don't need any encouragement from anybody to brush my teeth. I just get up, make my bed, walk to the sink, and brush my teeth. Every aspect of the journey, all of the fundamentals have to become brushing your teeth in order to leave, finally, the immaturity mindset. That is how I left the immaturity mindset behind. Every single aspect, every single fundamental, all of the basics, the boring, tedious crap that nobody wants to do had to become consistent in my life. Once it finally did, I was in what I call the consistent mindset. This mindset is a wonderful mindset to get in and stay in. You literally need no other mindset. But there's one more, and I'll get into it in a second. The consistent mindset wakes up every day, does the work regardless of what's going on in the world, regardless of what's going on in your personal life, regardless of what excuses that are so easily presented to you, the work gets done. The consistent mindset knows that there's no such thing as perfection, that you do the work to the best of your ability, and accuracy can always be worked on. No one can do anything 100% of the time. You're not going to get it right every single day. Babe Ruth didn't step up to the plate every single time and hit a home run every single time. Michael Jordan didn't win a championship every single time. He went through many years before he started winning championships. This is what I'm talking about. The mindset of, it doesn't matter that I didn't win. It doesn't matter that I don't feel good. It's Tuesday, and this is what's done on Tuesday. It's Wednesday, and this is what's done on Wednesday. That's the consistent mindset. It has nothing to do with some family member who's not feeling well, and you need to go and help them. That's not part of it. That's not even considered. That's extra. So in order to maintain consistency, things have to adapt, right? If circumstances present themselves in your life, the way to say that I'm consistent is to get them done regardless of the circumstance. And your first thought is not going to be, well, I have this circumstance, that means I don't do the workout. The workout or the journey-related task doesn't just get dished the minute there's something extra. Me personally, every single time something threatens my journey, I lose sleep first before the journey is compromised. I had to become part of the consistent mindset in order to do this. I will lose sleep any given moment. This is the circumstance, and that's what I'm ready to give up in order to create whatever I need to create, the time needed in order to help so-and-so. I will lose sleep in an effort to continue the journey-related tasks. That has been, since the beginning, how my mind has worked when I achieved the consistent mindset. As you stay consistent, I tell every single one of you this. Consistency, once it's achieved, doesn't guarantee results. The results come when they come. They don't come because you think you're consistent. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So you keep going and you're being consistent. But in the end, it's inevitable the results will show up. And there's a transition that happens that you may not want to happen. And that's called the success mindset. You achieve success. You feel like you're good at something. There's going to be a bit of arrogance that comes with it. Confidence, arrogance, there's a thin line. So somebody might not like that I'm using the word arrogance, but there's a touch of both on either side. It's like yin and yang, right? There's a little bit of evil and good. There's a little bit of good and evil. Same idea. So the success mindset comes along and becomes arrogant and confident. And if allowed to free reign, could be overly arrogant, overly confident, and even become careless with how things are handled. I was very much in that success mindset after losing 183 pounds from the gastric bypass surgery. And even though my results had slowed down, I didn't take that as this is a transitionary moment. I need to make an adaptation. I need to adapt my journey in order to continue, because clearly I was not done. I didn't go there just to lose 183 pounds. Losing 183 pounds from 460 is different than losing it from 403. And even so, even at 403, it wasn't the end. So the success mindset affects you in multiple ways. With the overconfidence, with the quote-unquote arrogance, there's a mental battle going on. And that mental battle, it presents itself in many ways. I don't need to track this. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to weigh and measure. I can tell by looking at it how much is there. It's okay that I didn't go out and walk today. You know, it's just, hey, things happen. The more you don't track, the less you realize what you're eating. If we tracked every day, it still wouldn't be 100% accurate. Because everyone leaves something out somewhere. Not everybody is tracking every lick, taste, bite. Okay? Come on. I can honestly tell you that there's a little pack of chewing gum there. I don't track chewing gum, and I'm sure you should. I understand it doesn't ever get swallowed, but there's plenty of sugar in that chewing gum. Somebody wants a little fresh breath. Who's tracking that? We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. I now present to you the Ranting Weight Watcher Accountability Creed. If you choose this day to say this creed, you are accountable to me, the author. You are also accountable to all of those before you who have taken the creed, and all of those after you who will take the creed. But most of all, you are accountable to yourself. Now recite with me the Accountability Creed. Nothing can stand in my way because I choose to be unstoppable. My challenges crumble in my presence because I choose strength when I am weak. My insecurities have no power over my life because I choose confidence in the face of fear. I own every last one of my mistakes because I choose growth over mediocrity. The mirror and the scale are powerless because I move forward in spite of the result. Circumstances are not obstacles because I see solutions instead of problems. The demons of my past can no longer torment me because I choose to renew my mind daily. All things are possible as long as I believe, because if God is for me, who can be against me? This is the creed I declare each day. It is about what I do, not what I say. I will learn the work that needs to be done. I will never stop, even when I've won. I will work consistently, no matter the cost. I refuse to believe that all hope is lost. I will work when I want to. I will work when I don't. I will work when they are cheering. I will work when they won't. I will work when it's easy. I will work when it's hard. The atonements that I've made are made with no regard. I will work when it's cold. I will work when it's hot, because choices have consequences, justified or not. When I think I know it all, I will start back at one, because regardless of what I think, the work is never done. And from this moment forward, when times are tough, I choose to believe that I am enough. And we are back. Thanks for sticking with me. These are the things I'm talking about. It starts with something small like that. And then it ends up being entire meals. The amount of time it takes from having it be something so small like a piece of chewing gum to having it being full meals, I can't really tell you. That's not a designated number of time. But one will eventually become the other if not kept in check. The next part of that was, I don't need to weigh and measure. I know what that much looks like. So what starts off looking like 8 ounces is more like 10 ounces. And then all of a sudden, what starts to look like 10 ounces is more like 12 ounces. What's there grows, and still not accounted for is whatever just the little bites here and there. Those are never accounted for. And I'm not saying you should. All I'm saying is everybody's journey at its best is not 100%. And I've also told you that it doesn't matter. You can create a success regardless. But I'm also warning you here that this success mindset is very dangerous. And if there's anything, if you realize you're there, you want to get out of it. Get out of it and get back to consistency. I'm not saying that you'll ever lose consistency because you're in the success mindset. I'm saying you'll be consistently making less choices on purpose because you feel the confidence that you feel. So what starts out as being, this looks like 8 ounces, that same portion, that whatever you believe to be 8 ounces, can easily become 12 ounces, and you still think it's 8, and you're still tracking 8. That's what I'm talking about. And then there's the, I'll just take it easy. I'm going to listen to my body. And you walk a little slower. And in reality, let's say, take me for example. If I didn't adopt strength training into my life, I would be walking the same distance I have been walking for quite a while, but I'm walking it slower. But Don, you're down 180 some odd pounds. Why would you be walking slower? Good question. But it's the truth. I am. I am naturally walking slower even though I am at a lesser weight. There were times when I was bigger, I was heavier than I am now. And I would consistently stay in the pace of anywhere between 21-minute mile and 22-minute mile. That would be consistent. On days that I really pushed myself, we're talking about 19-minute mile. And I used to be very impressed with myself on those days. And now, consistently, it is 23-minute mile, 24-minute mile. I'm walking further. That's my justification for it, is that I'm walking further. So the distance I travel overall is much further than what it used to be. Okay, fine. But if I don't introduce strength training in my life, as I have, what happened to my results? If my success mindset tells me I don't need to track because I know what I'm doing, if my success mindset tells me I know what 8 ounces of meat looks like, I don't need to worry about a scale, I don't feel like cleaning the scale after I'm done, and if my success mindset says it's okay if I didn't walk as fast because I walked further, if my success mindset tells me all of these things, what is likely to happen to my result? It could easily say that it might go in the wrong direction, or it might just become stagnant. If I'm lucky, it just becomes stagnant, right? But in most cases, it goes the wrong direction, depending on how long you allow it. That's why in the creed, what do I say? What's the line in the creed that you all hear every week that is the exact addressing of this moment? When I think I know it all, I will start back at 1. Because regardless of what I think, the work is never done. What does that mean? When you finally hit the success mindset, the key to getting back to consistency is going back to the beginning. Because you don't know it all. And your pride will keep you where you are and make things worse if you don't acknowledge it. And they will get worse and worse and worse. And it all starts with, I know what I'm doing. I don't need to track that. It's almost the same every single time I eat it. I don't need to weigh that. It's okay that I didn't walk 5 times this week. I got 3 in. And so what if it's a little slower? All of those things scream a bad trend if left too long. If I think I know it all, I will start back at 1. Because regardless of what I think, the work is never done. There's another thing in the success mindset. And probably one of the most important reasons to try to get yourself out of it. There's this awkward moment where you actually believe you know it all. And then try something different. For me, that something different was introducing strength training in my life. Removing days of walking and replacing them with strength training. That was the thing I was introducing. And you create this success mindset and you go through this whole transition of what you didn't know and what you know now. And you go from being really good at one thing and then you're trying to introduce something else and you're nowhere near as good. It almost forces you to go back to 1. Now, this is a very uncomfortable transition. To go backwards, to mentally feel like you're going backwards because you're doing something you feel like you should know. What's the real rationale here? The real rationale is I shouldn't know it because I've never done it. I've never strength trained, at least not out of the instruction of a personal trainer. And while I was paying that personal trainer, I literally learned nothing. I just did what they said. I didn't learn anything about how to continue it after I couldn't pay them anymore. I just did what I was told. So here I find myself facing the fact that I don't know it all. You could go one of two ways here. You could see the challenge for what it is, accept it for what it is, and do it anyway, realizing that there's going to be a period where I suck at this. But it's temporary. It's the equivalent of going back to the immaturity mindset all over again voluntarily. Understand? Because the success mindset gives you the arrogance that you should know it already. So success mindset teamed up with immaturity mindset. Dangerous. Dangerous. And if allowed to run free, I can almost guarantee that whatever it is I'm trying to introduce, it will not stick around very long. I don't need strength training. Let me go get back to what I'm good at. Let me get back to walking. On Sundays, I walk 8 to 10 miles. On Saturdays, I walk 6 to 7 miles. Any other day, Monday through Friday, it's 4 to 5 miles. I'm the greatest of all time when it comes to walking. Why would I want strength training? I know nothing about it. I'll just stick to what I'm good at. It's easy to think this. And it takes an incredibly strong mindset to push through it anyway. To put that thought process in check. And say, it doesn't matter that you don't know. You didn't know anything when you started all of this. So you start the process. And so when you went from maturity mindset to consistent mindset in the beginning, you had to do something. You had to trust the process. And now, if I'm telling you that going from success mindset to doing something you don't know to do, it's the same thing as going from success back to immaturity, but you're keeping the mindset and the arrogance that comes with the success mindset. I'm voluntarily going backwards with the knowledge that I had already attained. And I have to go through the immature phase all over again. The only thing I could take with me in all of this is that I trusted the process once. If I did it that time, I could trust the process again. Because any of you who have been listening to me for any amount of time, you automatically know I can't stand staying the same. And this is no surprise to me that I would start staying the same when I introduce strength training into my life. This is no surprise to me. But I have to do it. I have to go through it. And because I trusted the process once before, I could hold on to that and say, okay, I'm in the immaturity phase again. And I know that I went through the immaturity phase once before. And I know the way I have to do it is trust the process. If I did it once, I can do it again. Regardless of how much I can't stand staying the same. And what did I do? I lost sleep, waking up 3 days a week at 4 a.m. to strength train. Because I know that was the way I was going to get it done. By waking up earlier, losing an hour's sleep, and getting it done. I am a total of 11 weeks in. The first 8 weeks were dedicated to strength training twice a week. I have now completed 3 additional weeks at 3 times a week. And I'm currently starting the 4th week. I'm not going to pretend and tell you that I am confident that I could say that I'm consistent in strength training yet. When I get up in the morning because that 4 a.m. alarm is going off, and my first thought isn't, how can I not do this today? How can I rationalize not doing this? When that happens, when it's just get up because it's time to make the donuts, if that's the first thought, get to work. It's 4 a.m. No wasting time. Then I can confidently say, I am consistent in strength training. But until then, as long as I keep waking up and my first thought is, ugh, I don't feel like doing this. Ugh, I don't want to do this. How can I not do this today? Can I do this later? When it's a bunch of thoughts intruding, as long as those intrusive thoughts still come, I will not trust that I am consistent. But when waking up at 4 a.m., I get up and think it's time to get to work. Just the same way I wake up any other day of the week and think it's time to brush my teeth. That's when I know I'm consistent. I have to trust the process to get there. The same way I trusted the process to get here, where I am now. I've told you guys that there are the thoughts that come in that if I'm going to strength train, I'll never hit the 200-pound milestone. Because all I'll do is make sure I stay at this weight and trade fat for muscle, kind of a thing. And I'll always remain 20 some odd pounds away while I'm doing this. As much as that bothers me, I cannot be concerned with it because I trust the process. As much as I don't want to wake up at 4 a.m., I can't be concerned with it because I trust the process. As much as I don't think I need to track my food, as much as I don't think I need to weigh and measure my food, I do it anyway because I trust the process. Having heard the last 40 minutes here of me talking, ask yourself, do you trust the process? I have no idea where you are today. The phases I talked about, I have no idea where you are. I know that we live in a world right now that everything is flashy. Everything is the next best thing. everything is viral. Everything is better than what you have. And all you can do is try to keep up. That's the world we live in right now. Nothing is designed to point at you at all. But the truth of the world can be summed up in 3 questions. It could be summed up by, what do I do great? What do I do that needs improvement? What don't I do at all? If you ever want to know why you doubt yourself, the truthful answer to those 3 questions are going to guide you as to why you feel the way you feel. So what do you do about that? If there's a bunch of stuff you need to improve on, it's not about what Joe's doing anymore. It's not about what Ann and Claire and everybody else is doing. If there's a bunch of stuff you don't do at all, again, it's not about what Joe and Claire and Ann are doing and Bobby. If you have stuff that you need to do better and stuff that you're not doing it at all, what good is what they're doing if you just take yourself to the next one? What good is it? It's not going to be any use to you whatsoever. But let's say you do the majority of the things great. Let's say for a second you're doing everything right and you still have nothing to show for it. I have 3 words for you. Trust the process. No one told you that because you do things, you're guaranteed a result immediately. They only told you that people who do these things have success. They didn't tell you when, they didn't tell you where, they didn't tell you why. All they told you was people do these 3 things: tracking, weighing, measuring, moving, and they tend to be successful. So if you're doing all of those things, keep doing them and trust the process. Keep weighing and measuring and trust the process. Keep tracking your food and trust the process. Keep getting up off your ass and walking a mile and trust the process. Because as long as you trust the process, as long as you do all the things you need to do, all of the promises are still available. They're still there. They just come when they come. They don't come when you want them. Whatever you need to do, start doing. If there's stuff you need to improve on, if there's stuff you don't do at all, start doing it. If you're doing it all, it's simple. Trust the process. 3 simple words that will guide the rest of your life, so long as you're doing the fundamentals. Trust the process. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.